E3 2012, I watched the Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft, EA, Activision, I also watched the Nintendo one, but I'm not going to talk about that. All those breakfast conferences, and experienced a strange sensation I haven't had before, which was being like slightly shell-shocked by the level of violence in video games, which is, I'm laughing because my favourite games are things like Hitman Blood Money and Deus Ex Human Revolution, both of which feature grotesque, horrible violence. In Hitman, like, it's not even self-defense, you're not even in a hostile situation, you walk into a room or a whole level full of people who haven't done you any harm, and you pick up a claw hammer and you go around caving in their skulls systematically. You can, you don't have to. I have, I think that probably shows. So, it's completely hypocritical and absurd for me to watch a few slow-mo kills in Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed and stuff, and suddenly be appalled by it. The Last of Us was the one that kind of, I think that was kind of an alarming demo for a lot of people. There's a bit in it where the main character, right at the end of the demo, in a struggle, shoots someone's head apart with a shotgun, and it's not unprecedented for games, it's not even that unusual for mainstream games. But what was weird was the cheer that they got from the audience. This like desperate, horrible, harrowing situation. The sight of a man's skull being ripped apart by buckshot. A man who, by the way, hasn't actually done anything wrong. Like, he's innocent. He's being controlled by a parasite. And seeing him have his head and therefore life destroyed in a graphic way was a fuck yeah moment for the whole gaming press. So something's gone wrong here somewhere. And it worries me a bit when I feel myself hating something and then realise that it's the same as something I already currently enjoy, and that, like, not only enjoy, but I kind of self-identify with violent video games. They're like part of, I'm a gamer, that's like part of my identity, is that I enjoy these things, and that I have this smug sense of superiority you all have, which is, well, I know it seems like I'm doing terrible, terrible things in these video games, but I know they're just video games and you don't, and so it's okay. Sorry, I just had to flip my fish. I'll say something about violence. Yeah, the stuff that we enjoy, we feel like we're okay to enjoy it because we know it's a video game, and there's some truth to that. Like, I'm not actually a terrible person. I'm not going to kill anybody. And the fact that I enjoy violent video games doesn't mean I'm more violent than the average human male. The reason we get on okay with them, the reason that I can do that hammer thing, which I already regret telling you about, is that I play games so much that I understand on an instinctive level what these characters are, which is that they're not characters, they are algorithms. And not only are they, reductively dumb and, to the point where I could almost write down the rules that they obey and tell you how the ways in which they are robots, in a way that a casual observer of games probably couldn't. I also know how completely replenishable they are, how replaceable. Replaceable is the wrong word, because it's not even like when you kill one another that another one can spawn. It's the fact that you can kill these things and then hit a button and they're all back again, the exact same ones. They're not unique, they're not anything like human beings. As a gamer, when we look at an enemy in a video game, even though we're the type of person who believes in video games and gets immersed in them, we say we're immersed in them, in that we engage with the fantasy. But we're also the kind of people who most implicitly understand that the things in video games are nothing like people. Like, they're not even close. So if someone who doesn't totally understand how video games work kills another human being in a video game, they've kind of had a more disturbing experience than we do when we kill things in video games, because we understand them to be robots, basically. So we're kind of on safe ground there. Which brings me back to, why do I see fetishized slow-mo violence on screen at E3 and feel repulsed and feel like, this is terrible, this is not at all what I play, this isn't like the kind of thing that I find acceptable. And I think it's partly that that's what they're showing. Like, that is how they sell you on the game, is to show you that all the ways you can put pieces of metal inside people's bodies and how graphically the blood spurts out and how much pain there is. The amount of pain in the E3 demos is just nauseating. And being marketed to in that way, like the sort of the alienation response, I feel, is something to do with that feeling that they're assuming this is what we're after. Like, by marketing to us in that way, they are assuming that we love the pain and the gore for its own sake, which I don't think that's true. It's certainly not true of me. When I'm playing Hitman Blood Money, I'm not actually enjoying seeing people die. That's not the fun of it. There's a social mathematics to it. There's this weird sense of strategy, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy evil things in Hitman Blood Money. Part of the appeal of the game is that I'm the worst person in the world in it. I am committing murder and getting away with it, but it's an intellectual challenge. It's not actually like I don't enjoy the act of the murder. I enjoy the challenge of thinking about how to get away with it. In the same way that my gran really enjoys watching detective shows and figuring out how the murderer gets away with it and how the cop catches them. So that's quite abstract, and it's not too disturbing. It's a little bit disturbing that I enjoy that, but it's not too bad. Whereas being told that people acting as if that's the appeal of games in itself with no context is kind of offensive. And the other thing is that Deus Ex, Human Revolution, Hitman Blood Money, and Skyrim are the three things that spring to mind when I think of the terrible things I do in video games. Because all of them, Deus Ex and Skyrim, both do slow-mo kills where they really like focus in on, look at the terrible thing you're doing to this person. And that is kind of grisly. Even when I enjoy it in Deus Ex Human Revolution, my face is like, I'm horrified by what I'm doing, but I am secretly enjoying it. And the reason I'm okay with it in those games is, for one thing, I wouldn't be okay with it if I was watching a trailer and they were just showing me, look at this horrible thing you can do and this is why you'll enjoy this game, because it isn't why I'll enjoy that game. And for another, when you're playing it, all of those things are your own decision. So when you decide to, it's literally the difference between how long you hold the button in Deus Ex Human Revolution, whether you punch somebody or put a giant fist chisel through them and intentionally, purposefully kill them forever. And the fact that it's your choice means that when the game shows you how horrible that thing is, it's not the game saying, look how cool the thing you did is. It's saying, look how violent the thing you just did is. And it's not judging, it's not trying to tell you it's terrible, and it's not trying to tell you it's great. If you want to find it cool, you can find it cool. But the game itself isn't being exploitative and nasty in that way that I got from E3. It's not assuming that you will just love death. It's just saying, you just did something violent, look how horrible it was, look how violent it was. And for a certain type of people, they'll be thinking, yeah, look how violent that was awesome. And for another type of person, they'll be thinking, God, look how violent that was terrible. And if you're me, you're feeling kind of both at the same time.